Hey guys, welcome back to Coaster Brothers. In today's video, I am going to be doing a top 10 worst roller coasters I have ridden. Now, at the time of filming this video, I have ridden 161 roller coasters, some being some really great, outstanding coasters, others being just okay, and then some of them are just outright terrible. So without further ado, let's begin. But before we begin, I would just like to make a note that we are not including family coasters or kiddie coasters. So let's begin. Number 10 is Corkscrew at Cedar Point. This is a very old aero looping coaster that opened in 1976. It was the first coaster to feature 3 inversions and one of the first coasters to feature the first vertical loop. Six Flags Magic Mountain's Revolution, however, beat it by a week for the first modern loop. So, the reason I hate Corkscrew is because it's boring and painful. The only quality I see in Corkscrew is the airtime hill after the first drop, which you get some decent airtime on, but other than that, the rest of the coaster is pretty boring and pretty painful. We're talking janky transitions, horrible restraints, headbanging. Even if you try and brace for it, it's still going to hurt. Every time I've ridden this, which is only 2 times, I've walked off with a massive headache, and I had to take about a half-hour break to go on another coaster because of how rough this coaster is. The seats are uncomfortable, the restraints are uncomfortable. Overall, Corkscrew at Cedar Point is just a very horrible ride. Coming in at number 9 is Green Lantern at Six Flags Great Adventure. Now, I know a lot of you guys are thinking, well, I think you're overreacting, Aiden. Green Lantern isn't that bad. I hate B&M stand-up coasters, especially this one. This is my least favorite B&M stand-up coaster. It's really painful, it has a lot of headbanging, and it's honestly a coaster I would never do again. It creates a very bad experience with those stand-up restraints and the amount of headbanging you'll get on this coaster. I do really like the layout of this coaster, so it does have some quality there. But other than that, I really don't like Green Lantern. I find it lacking in quality, and overall, I just don't like this roller coaster a lot. I know Green Lantern has a lot of fans. I'm just not one of them. Coming in at number 8 is the world's largest traveling roller coaster in Olympia Looping. Now, this is another one that you guys are probably super confused as to why it's at number 8 of my worst roller coasters. Well, this is not a very enjoyable coaster. While it does have some amazing records, some crazy forces, and overall a pretty solid roller coaster by Schwarzkopf, I honestly didn't enjoy it. I rode this when it was at Winter Wonderland in London. That's the only time I rode this coaster. Because it's traveling, it is pretty rough. And there was a recent accident on it. But the real reason I hate this is because of the weird, awkward, painful restraints and its roughness. But without that, I'd probably really enjoy Olympia Looping. But with all those key factors as to making it unenjoyable, I will not be taking another trip on this coaster for a while. Coming in at number 7 is the first wooden coaster on this list, and that is Grizzly, an unbearably rough wooden coaster by Philadelphia Toboggan Company at King's Dominion. This coaster opened in 1982, and I don't know when it was last retracked, but this coaster is unbearably rough. Especially if you're on a wheel seat, you're going to be feeling some horrible roughness. Not just the wooden coaster rattle, but you're literally going to feel like the coaster is trying to tear the train off the track. That's literally what it feels like, guys. It feels like you were just bouncing up and down. Like, it's just so uncomfortable and really, really rough. Like, that's the best way I can describe Grizzly. The only thing I really like about this coaster is the small amounts of airtime you get and the scenery since you're going through the woods. But other than that, Grizzly is just a really bad coaster. Don't expect me to take another trip on this coaster until it gets retracked. Coming in at number 6 is Viper, a gigantic aerodynamics looping coaster standing at 188 feet with 7 inversions. This coaster is just massive when you look at it, but it has some downsides. I was expecting a lot from Viper when I got it. I looked at it and I said to myself, this is a gigantic aero looping coaster. This is going to be amazing. What I didn't come into mind was that it would probably be rough and janky. And Viper was worse than that. See, I was expecting a very great, forceful coaster, and this is a very forceful roller coaster, except I was met with a very uncomfortable, rough, janky experience on Viper, and it just has so much more potential than that. I know a lot of people love this coaster, but I really hate this coaster. I really was expecting a lot more than I experienced on it. But unfortunately, my expectations were not met, and I was left with a gigantic headache after leaving the coaster. Number 5 is Canopy Corkscrew. Now, fun fact, Canopy Corkscrew was actually the first coaster I rode that inverted. This coaster has 2 inversions, which is the double corkscrews. It opened in 1987 and closed last year in 2021. So this is a defunct coaster, and it was located at Canopy Lake Park, manufactured by Aerodynamics. And same with the first corkscrew on the list, and with all the other Aerodynamics coasters on this list. This coaster is rough, janky, and has bad restraints. And this one is even more boring than the one at Cedar Point, because the one at Cedar Point has an additional airtime hill and vertical loop, while this one just has the drop, a turnaround, and the 2 corkscrews. Number 4 is Goliath. Goliath is a giant inverted Vekoma boomerang located at Six Flags New England, or should I say, was located at Six Flags New England. This coaster originally opened at Six Flags Magic Mountain under the name of Deja Vu, but then got relocated to Six Flags New England in 2012 and was renamed Goliath and given these brand new, awful Premier Rides trains, which made the coaster rougher and less enjoyable, giving headbanging and leg chopping, which really hurts, if you can tell by the way I said it. And let's just say this coaster may have been massive, but the only redeeming quality I found on this coaster was the drop. After that first drop, everything goes downhill. It's just roughness after roughness after roughness. You're going to walk off with sore legs and with a giant headache. And now that this coaster has been removed, Six Flags New England can finally put something in its place that is actually worthy. Anaconda takes the 3rd place. The worst aerodynamics roller coaster I have ridden, located at King's Dominion. This coaster opened in 1991 and features 4 inversions and a tunnel dive that goes under a river. So its actual height is 128 feet, but its drop is 144 feet, which dives under a river. And the river is the only reason I really like this coaster, because it interacts with the river a lot. But other than that, this coaster is awful. It's janky, rough, and overall kind of boring. It has 1 loop, 1 sidewinder, but after those 2 inversions, it goes into a mid-course that full-on halts you. On top of all of this, you're already in a lot of pain because of all the jankiness and roughness, and then the rest of the coaster is pointless. You go through a helix, like a bunch of turnarounds. I don't even know how to describe them. The track profiling is done horribly on this coaster. And then some forceless corkscrews. A double corkscrew, just like found on most aerodynamics coasters, that you just slowly roll through. So you get no force of them. You get some decent hang time, but in those restraints, that hang time is just painful. And this is just an overall boring, rough, janky roller coaster that should just be removed. Number 2 is Coma SLCs. Now, if you're a roller coaster enthusiast, you've probably heard of this model. In this part, we're not going to be specifying on one specific Coma SLC, as this is a widespread model with over 40 clones of Coma SLCs. And this is the worst cloned coaster ever. It's manufactured by Vekoma. And let me just say, guys, Vekoma did a horrible job with this. Your standard Vekoma SLC is either going to have these horribly bulky restraints or these comfortable vest restraints, but with either of those restraints, you're still going to find a very rough experience. And if you have those vest restraints on a Vekoma SLC, you're pretty lucky, because that's really the best it's going to get. Without those vest restraints and with those hard, bulky over-the-shoulder restraints, you're going to get a ton of headbanging. Even putting your head forward won't do anything, and you'll walk off with a headache and a very unsatisfied experience. If you look at the layout itself of any Vekoma SLC, you'll find that it looks like a pretty fun layout, and if you've ridden Maurice Pierce, Great Nor'easter, then you've ridden a pretty good Vekoma SLC, but I have not ridden that yet. But from what people say, people have said it's really good. But if you ride one of the old ones, a really standard one like Mind Eraser at Six Flags America, expect for a very rough, janky, and headache experience. The number one worst roller coaster I've ridden is Wildcat at Lake Compounds. This is a wooden roller coaster manufactured by Philadelphia Toboggan Company, and let me tell you guys, after its re-tracking in 2017, this coaster has never ridden rougher. This coaster, the best way I can describe the experience on Wildcat is you driving a golf cart down a gravel rock road, and your tires are falling off, and an earthquake is occurring. That is literally the best way to describe the Wildcat experience. It is that rough. We're talking headaches. You literally feel like your bones are breaking when you're riding this coaster. You're literally going to feel like that. You're going to get a massive headache, and it's literally going to feel like this coaster is trying to tear you off of the track and trying to kill you. That's literally the best way I can describe this, except in this case, that is a horrible, horrible, horrible experience. So that'll conclude my top 10 worst roller coasters I've ridden video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you didn't enjoy some of these roller coasters, if you've ridden them and you didn't enjoy them, let me know down in the comments. If you disagree with me, also let me know down in the comments. If you have any of these coasters on your worst roller coasters list, definitely let me know as well. If you want me to do any more videos like this, like ranking videos, ranking coasters in the parks, also let me down in the comments. And again, if you've ridden these roller coasters, tell me your experience. If you've had a good experience on them, tell me. And please subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this, for more theme park news, theme park vlogs, roller coaster reviews, and a whole lot more. And as always, guys, stay on the thrill side of life.